In today's class, we're going to use, if you have one available, yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, then find yourself a small pillow or cushion, something that you can sit on, something that you can just use to just squeeze between your thighs so we can create a little bit more muscular action, little internal kind of hugging in. And then once you've found those, we're going to come to seated a little bit of a different way. So this is where you might take your block or your pillow, and you're going to come up to kneeling, bring your block down so that you can sit on it. And then have your legs down by your sides with your feet flat on the floor. And it's just going to create a little bit of a quad stretch, a little opening up for the front of your hamstrings. So notice how comfortable you feel here. If this feels like you're getting nothing at all, then you may like to come off of your block and just sit yourself down on the floor with your shins, your calves on the outside of your thighs, feet flat on the floor, knees kind of hugging together, and then you may feel a little bit more of a stretch. All right, once you've found that, close your eyes. Begin to invite in a fuller, deeper breath. Allowing each breath in to be a little fuller, a little wider, a little longer. Iyengar, who is one of the yoga masters, tells us that the body is the bow, the asana, the pose, is the arrow, and the soul is the target. So if we think of the poses as we move through our practice as like beads on a necklace, the breath would be the string that holds them all together. So we breathe to come into the pose, we breathe while we hold the pose, we breathe our way out of the pose. So to begin with, we just establish that nice full deep breath. And then the challenge would be to see if you can stay with this consistent Ujjayi breath as you practice. Okay, just bring your palms together at your heart center and softly bow your head. Take one more breath. Okay, and it's starting probably now to feel that stretch in the front of your ankles, your feet, your legs. So you're probably ready to come onto hands and knees. And then once you do, spread your fingers, tuck your toes, lift your feet up off the mat, and it's probably going to feel really nice and just freeing to make some circles with your ankles. Go both directions. All right, and then set your feet back down. Feet are flat on the mat, and we'll just begin our practice with just a few rounds of cat-cow. Just beginning to open up and warm up the spine. All right, take a few more breaths. Allowing that movement to just float on the inhale breath, rounding on the exhale breath. Okay, let's come back to neutral at the end of the next exhale. And with your feet flat on the floor, we're going to tuck our toes under. Nice. Sit back on your heels. So once again, we're stretching out the quads, a little stretch for the feet. And then just bring your hands to your heart center. Just take a breath. And take a couple of breaths here. On the inhale, let's reach our arms up overhead. Find steeple mudras, so you're going to lace your fingers, point your index fingers up towards the sky. Create lots of length, and as you exhale, take a little stretch over to the right. We'll inhale back up to center, and then exhale, come over to the left. Nice. Inhale, reach all the way up nice and tall. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Nice. Lower your hands down to the mat. And then we're going to lift our knees so we're balancing just on our heels. If you have a block, you might like to slide your block just under your knees, which would help with that balance. Okay? Or if you're challenging your balance, getting your shoulders stacked right over your hips. Take a couple of breaths here. So things that help us balance are connecting to that steady breath. Finding some place to fix our gaze, we call that a drishti, something that's not moving. All right, and then we're going to lower our hands and just really softly bow our heads to our chest. Press through our feet and round ourselves up slowly till we come halfway. And then take your hands to your elbows. Just let your head hang nice and heavy. And just allow yourself to just rock out from side to side. Maybe change the flip of your grip on your elbows so the other hand's in front. Nice. Bring your hands to your shin. Inhale, halfway lengthen. Exhale, fold and lower. 2 more times like that. Each time you lift halfway, spine's lengthened and long. Exhale, maybe fold a little deeper. Nice, last time. And exhale, fold and lower. Awesome. Inhale, reach your arms up. Take a big stretch. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. If you're not at the top of the mat, walk your way all the way forward and then come to Tadasana. Hold here, just kind of arriving on your mat. Setting up for your practice, connecting once again to your breath. All right, on your inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Find that steeple mudra again, and then lift up nice and tall. As you exhale, lean a little back, coming into a baby back bend. So feet are pressing. Inhale, back up. Exhale, reach over to the right, coming into a side stretch. Inhale, back up. We'll exhale, reach to the left. Inhale, reach all the way back up. Separate your hands and bring them back behind you. Lace your fingers, maybe walk your feet a little bit wider. Inhale here, we'll come back to another back bend, maybe deepening it just a little bit. And then as you inhale, lift up. As you exhale, come into a forward fold. So knees could be bent, legs could be straight, hands can stay on your low back, or start to reach your hands away from you, reaching your knuckles up towards the sky. And just rock a little from side to side. All right. Take another breath here, coming back to center. Let your head hang nice and heavy. The inhale, we're going to lift ourselves all the way back up. Nice. Release your hands and just give your arms a little shake. Okay. Inhale here, we're going to reach really tall. As we exhale, long straight spine leads us forward and down. Hands to the mat. Inhale, halfway. We're going to step the right foot to the back of the mat. All right, and then exhale, lower the knee down. So let's take a couple of breaths here, just getting a little bit deeper into the hips. Take a rock maybe a little forward and back. Just drop your chin towards your chest. Okay, and then as we're ready, press down through your legs, your feet, and inhale, reach your arms up. All right, coming back to that yoga mudra class, reach your hands back behind you, and maybe lift your heart, reach your hands a little bit away. Awesome. Release, come back to center, and reach both arms out in front of you. Keep your right hand where it is, and then we're going to reach the left arm back. So coming into a little twist. The option would be to stay here, We'll take your left hand, reach it maybe to the inside of the right thigh, and reach your right arm up. Maybe even lift your gaze. Maybe reach a little bit to the left, so you feel a little bit more of a stretch coming out of your right hip. Nice. As you inhale, come all the way back up. Reach both arms up overhead. And then exhale, lower. Nice. Tuck your back toes, lift your back knee, coming into a high lunge. And then right hand's going to stay on the mat. Left arm reaches up as we come into a twist. Stay here, or maybe make some circles or half circles with your arm. Just opening up the shoulder. Awesome. As you exhale, lower your hands. Look to the top of your mat. We're going to step the right foot forward, bring our hands to our shins. Nice, come halfway up. Exhale. Nice, bring your hands down to the mat. We're going to step the left foot back. All right, and then lower down. And then same thing here. Press your hips forward and back. Forward and back. If you have blocks, you could use your blocks under your hands. Just allowing your hips to open. And then we'll start to reach our arms up overhead. And take a breath here. When you reach back behind you, see if you can move all your fingers over one, so you're changing the clasp and the other thumb's on top. All right, inhale here. Heart lifts, hips get heavy. Maybe your hands travel just a little bit away from your back. Gaze can look up. Using the breath. And then I'm going to gently release, reach all the way up. Okay, bringing both arms out in front of you, keep the left hand there, and then we're going to reach back with the right arm. Stay here, or open a little bit more. Right hand reaches for the inner left thigh, and maybe left fingertips reach to the right side of the mat. Awesome. And then as we inhale, we're going to come all the way up. Exhale, lower your hands down. Press into the mat as you lift your left knee. Left hand stays down and right arm lifts. Option to stay here or free up the right shoulder, right arm. Make some nice big circles. Eventually making your way back to that lifted arm. As you exhale, lower your hand down. Hold here for a moment. We're going to walk our hands to the inside of the right foot and then spin ourselves to the long side of our mat. So now we're in a wide-legged forward fold. So letting your head melt towards the earth. Take some breaths here. All right, and then starting to straighten into your arms. Keep your right hand down on the mat, bring your left hand to your hip. Open up to the left. Option is to reach the left arm up towards the sky. So our hips are level, shoulders are stacked. As you exhale, we'll lower the left hand. And then twist to the right, so come up halfway. Right hand stays on your hip. Or maybe reaches up overhead. Awesome. As you exhale, lower your hands. Melt a little bit deeper into your forward fold. And take a couple of breaths here. Okay, press into your hands so you can lift yourself up halfway. Bring your hands to your hips and come all the way up. All right, so warrior two, we're going to turn the right toes out. Bend into the right knee. Hips and shoulders are facing alongside of the mat, and then we're going to reach our arms out and take a few breaths here. Steady gaze, pressing into your feet. Lean a little forward, flip your right hand up. As you inhale, reach up, reverse warrior. So maybe holding here, or bend into your right elbow. Just cup your right hand to the back of your head. Press your head into your hand, and then maybe the left hand reaches for your right elbow. Lift your heart, lean a little back. Maybe come into a deeper front knee, bending a little bit more, sinking your hips. Okay, reach all the way out. Straighten into your right leg as you reach forward and down. And we'll take a few breaths in Utthita Trikonasana, our triangle pose. So remember, the asanas are like the beads. The breath is like the string. So we're holding the pose and we're breathing. As we come out of the pose, we do it on the breath. So we lift on the inhale. We exhale back to warrior two. And take it back. All right, bring your hands to your heart. We're going to turn to face the other way. So straighten into your right leg. Turn those toes in. Turn the left toes out. Inhale here, reach up overhead. As you exhale, bend into your knee. Warrior two. Holding here on the breath. And then as we lean forward, we flip the left hand. Reach all the way up and reverse our warrior. Options is to stay here, or coming a little deeper into the shoulder, cupping the back of your head with your left hand. Right hand comes to the left elbow. And then lean a little back. Breathing, soft focus. Press your head a little bit more back into the support of your left hand. All right, we're going to inhale and release. Nice. As you exhale, we're going to straighten into the leg, lean forward, and then inhale, lift the right hand high. Back to triangle pose, Utthita Trikonasana. All right. Inhale out of the pose, back to warrior two. And take a couple of breaths. All right, bring your palms together at your heart. Straighten into the left leg. Turn your toes forward. Bring your hands back behind you, finding that clasp yoga mudra. Inhale here, lift your gaze, lift your heart back then. Beautiful. Inhale, come all the way back up. Exhale, forward and down, reaching your arms up overhead. Take some breaths. Press into your feet. Let's inhale back up. All right. Release your hands. Heel toe your feet back towards one another. So you can come back to Tadasana, arms down by your sides. So this is where we're going to find your block, or if you don't have your block, your little pillow. We're going to take the block and we're just going to bring it between our thighs. Press into all 4 points of both feet. But see if you can lift all 10 toes up off the mat. Spread them nice and wide, place them back down. So feet are pressing. And then squeeze your block. So you're pressing down and you're hugging in. And then come back to Tadasana. And notice how much more sturdy and stable it feels. It's like we're pressing down, we're using gravity. We're using that muscular energy of squeezing and hugging the block, which is strengthening for our inner thighs. All right, and then from the side, see if you can send your tailbone downwards, but lift your pubic bone upwards. So now we bring ourselves into a nice neutral pelvis. All right. Stand a little taller as you lengthen up through the crown of your head. All right, and keep squeezing your block. We're going to come to Utkatasana. So it's like we're going to sit back into a chair that's not there. So arms can be out in front and gaze looks down, or maybe lift your arms and lift your gaze. All right, take another few breaths here. Keep squeezing your block as you exhale, bring your hands to your heart. And then keep squeezing your block as you pour it all the way over and down to Uttanasana, forward fold. Squeeze your block, press your feet, rock out a little from side to side. Take a breath. All right, we're going to squeeze the block and come back to Utkatasana. Inhale here, reaching your arms out in front of you. Keep the right hand reaching forward. As you exhale, we're going to sweep the left hand back. But we're squeezing the block and our knees and hips are facing forward. All right, inhale back to center. Exhale, left hand stays there, right arm sweeps back. Nice. Inhale forward, we'll do that 2 more times to each side. So we're really strengthening through our legs. Exhaling back, so we're moving on the breath. Inhale brings us forward. 1 more time each side. All right, exhale, reach it back. Inhale, come back to Utkatasana, hold here. Maybe even press down into your feet, lift your heels. Beautiful. Exhale, lower. Find your block. Bring your block down to the mat and come into a forward fold. Nice, and then hands to shins, inhale halfway. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, hands to your heart. Okay, so it still feels a little like you're squeezing that block, huh? The legs are strong. All right, come back to Tadasana at the top of your mat. All right, take some breaths here. We're going to inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway. Keep your hands down, step your feet back, come to downward facing dog. And hold here, take some breaths. Feel your low belly scoop in. Hands and feet press evenly. Nice. As you exhale, lower your knees down to the mat. Alrighty, so we're going to slide the right foot to the back of the mat. And then lift it up behind us. Awesome. Reach the left arm out, so opposite hand to leg stay here. Or bend into the knee, reach back, find your foot. If you find your foot, come into cross pose. Take a few breaths here. And then we're going to release and extend. Exhale your hand and knee to the mat. We'll come into the other side and then take a child's pose. So, left leg, right arm. Staying here, gaze looks down so the back of the neck is long. Or we're going to reach back, find the foot. Then if you find the foot, the gaze looks forward, but presses into the hand. Press down through your left arm, left hand. Nice, and then let's release and extend. Very good. So, knees come wide. Sink your hips back. Come all the way down. And rest in child's pose. Okay. And then we'll come up to kneeling. The pose that we started class in, where we sat back either on our heels or on the block, we're going to come back to that a little bit of a deeper version. So if your quads are tight, the block might come in handy to sit on your block or your cushion. Have your feet a little wider so your heels are on the outside of your thighs. And take some breaths here. If you're not feeling anything here, then you might not need the block and you can sit all the way down on the mat. All right, and then gauge where you are here. If this bothers your feet or bothers your knees, you may be a little deep. You could take your hands back behind you. Lift your hips, scoop your tailbone under, and then maybe make your way onto your elbows. All right. Notice how it feels here. Any pain, bring yourself out. Otherwise, it might feel nice to come all the way down. Lay on your back. Perhaps even reach your arms up overhead so you feel the whole front of your body opening up. Always knowing where you're at. Anything that you feel pain, especially a sharp pain, or if you can't connect to that full deep breath, you might be a little too deep into the pose. All right, to come out, I'm going to press into my elbows, lift myself back up, press down again, lift up like I'm lifting from my heart center. Okay. And then we'll come back up onto hands and knees. All right, pick your feet up, give them a little release out by circling out your ankles. And then let's lift back up to our downward facing dog. All right, take some breaths. Okay, and then we're going to lower back down onto our knees. If you're not on a carpeted floor, roll the top of your mat over 2 or 3 times so you create a little bit more cushioning. And then walk yourself forward to the top of your mat. So you're kneeling on the folded part. If you have your block or your pillow, place it back between your thighs. And then you're going to have your toes tucked under, so heels are lifted. Bring your hands behind you like you have back pockets. You're going to slide your hands down like you have your hands in your back pockets. Elbows squeeze together. Squeeze the block. And then inhale here, lift your heart. So it's a back bend, not a deep one. You want to feel like your heart's lifted, and then your head, you don't want to throw your head back. So keep a nice alignment for your head and take some breaths here. To come out, it's like we come up on the inhale, like somebody's just lifting us up from our heart. And let's go back together. So we're heading into camel pose. It's a pretty deep back bend. You can come back to the pose we just did, or bring your hands to your heart. Inhale here, lift your heart and your gaze. And then maybe reach one arm up and back. See if you can reach for your ankles. So left hand comes to the left ankle. Do maybe one side at a time. Or maybe if you find one ankle, then the other arm lifts, comes all the way back. All right. Press your hips forward, lift your heart. Take a breath. To come out on the inhale. Beautiful, come all the way back up. Take your block. You're going to place it down. Just sit back on your block or your pillow, close your eyes, and take some breaths. So these back bends are also known as heart openers. They open our heart center up. That's all good, huh? So take a moment, just connect back to your breath. Feel all that energy that's just kind of around the center of your rib cage, energetic heart center. And then we'll make our way back up to downward facing dog. So if you rolled your mat, you're going to unroll the mat. Bring your block off to one side. Stretch everything out in a downward facing dog. All right, let's take the left leg, lift it up high. Bend into the knees, stack your hips. Let your foot drift over to the right side of your mat. And then we'll re-straighten through that leg and set it back down. Left leg lifts. Sorry, right leg lifts. And then same thing here, opening up into the hip. We straighten the leg, awesome. And then set it down. All right, so pigeon pose, we'll come into downward facing pigeon. If you know that you prefer to be on your back because you have any knee issues, come down onto your knees, roll over onto your back. We'll do the right leg first. So as you inhale, reach the right leg out behind you. As you exhale, shift your weight forward and hug your knee in towards your chest. Feel your upper back just open up. All right, so then we'll press the leg back. This time we're going to draw the knee through and set ourselves up for our pigeon pose. So sliding your left toes back. Come down onto your elbows. The block would come in handy here. You could rest your elbows on your block. You could rest your forehead on your block. Eventually, maybe you'll make your way down to rest your forehead on the mat. Take some breaths. All right, 2 more breaths in pigeon pose. And then we're going to gently start to make our way back up halfway. So we've done some quad openers. You may take that block that you used in pigeon and just slide it under your right leg. Feel your legs, everything from your waist down, kind of root down into the earth. You could reach both arms up. If you're feeling pretty open in your quads, maybe you'll start to bend into the left knee and then perhaps reach back with the left hand. Turn yourself back to center. Waist down presses into the earth and then maybe reach the right arm. All right, get it back. We're going to release. Stretch everything back in downward dog. And walk out your legs. All right. Coming into the left side. So as you're ready, let's send the left leg back. Then as you exhale, shift your weight forward. Hug your knee high. Press your shoulders. And then press it back. We're going to come through to pigeon. So left shin wiggles towards the top of your mat. Right toe slide back. Coming into it nice and slow, so maybe taking a couple of breaths on your elbows before you soften all the way down. Full deep breaths. So remember, we're using the breath to come into poses, out of poses, and hold the poses. Maybe see if you can take some of the deepest breaths you've taken so far today. And then 2 more breaths. We're going to bring ourselves up nice and slow and come up halfway. Maybe taking that block, transferring it just under our left hip, which just really helps us to balance. And then press down, use gravity, use that pressing down into the earth, and maybe reach your arms up. Okay, or perhaps bending into the right leg, reach back, find your foot. So if you find it, bring your shoulders back to the top of your mat, and inhale. Good job. Once you're ready to come back, it's to our last downward dog. All right. Stretch everything out. Okay. And then let's lower our knees down. Sink your hips back to child's pose. And take some breaths. From child's pose, we're going to bring ourselves to seated. So come to Sukhasana, cross legs. We'll do a little hip opener, and this is where the block might come in useful too. If this whole hip opener is too deep, come back to Sukhasana, cross legs. Okay. So we're going to cross the left leg over the right. So it's like our knees are stacked. And your feet are going to come out to the sides. If you can get them in line with your knees, that will be great. And then your hands can come to your hips. It can become a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more accessible if you do this pose and sit up on a block. All right. So hands come to your feet or the front of your ankles. Sit nice and tall. As you exhale, forward fold any amount over your left leg. Inhale back up. All right, we're going to change out the way we have our legs. So an easy way to do this is kind of a cute little trick, is turn yourself over to the right side, press into your hands. Lift yourself up, walk yourself all the way around the back of your mat, back to the front, and when you sit back down, hopefully, you have the right leg over the left. And then wiggle your feet so you get your feet nice in alignment. Sit nice and tall. Exhale, fold. We've done a lot of back bending, so this is a nice little counter pose, folding over our legs like this. All right, and inhale, lift all the way back up. Take your right leg. We're going to bring that off to the right. Tuck your left leg in. Bring your right hand to your left knee and inhale, reach your left arm up. And then as you exhale, we're going to reach and lean towards our right foot. Take a nice deep breath here. When we come come up. We're going to lift all the way up. Plant the left hand down. Point your right toes. Lift your hips and reach and stretch the arms. Come down. So left leg will extend. Right toes will hug in. Left hand to your right knee. And then reach and stretch, lengthening through the right side body. Make sure that your left toes are pointing up towards the side. Take a couple more breaths. And then as you inhale, lift. Exhale, plant your hand. Inhale, lift your hips. Take a couple more breaths. And let's exhale back down. Keep the left leg extended. Bring your right leg out to the side. This is also where the block might come in handy. So we did this pose standing, now we're going to do it seated. So lift your hips a little bit, press your sit bones back. So now your pelvis is tilted a little forward. And that's going to help you to come into the forward fold. So the block could be under your shoulders. You could have the block under your rib cage. You could bring your elbows to the block, depending how far you come over in this pose. Take some breaths. Have your toes pointing up. So you're getting a nice stretch for the back of your leg. Take a few more breaths. To come out. As you're ready, press into your hands. Also come all the way back up. Draw your knees together. Make sure that you are seated facing the short end of your mat. We're going to come all the way down onto our backs. So lift your heels. Support the back of your thigh. Lift your heart. Then your feet. Stay here or extend your arms. Straightening your legs is going to give you a little bit more energy. All right, take 3 more breaths in boat pose. And then we're going to take our hands to the back of our thighs and then gently roll ourselves all the way down. With your knees bent, bring your feet to the mat. Relax your head and shoulders. Arms are down by your side. And just take some breaths here. So bridge pose, we're going to press into our heels, shoulders, backs of our arms. Press into the center of the back of your head so you can curve out the back of your neck and keep it nice and safe. As you inhale, lift your hips. Once again, if you have the block could just come under your low back and you can rest on the block in a supported bridge. Take a few breaths here. So once again, we're just opening up the front body, lengthen your tailbone toward your knees. Use your breath. To come out of it, lift your heels up off the mat and then soften your upper, your mid, your lower back all the way down. Come to neutral, close your eyes and take a couple of breaths. Extend your legs along your mat. Have your hands down on the mat with your palms face down. Roll to your left hip, slide your right arm underneath you, and then do the same the other way. So now you're laying on your hands, palms down, point your toes, press into your elbows and then slide the back of your head in. So now you're opening up the front body, the heart, the throat. Keep pointing your toes. All right, maybe even lift your head up off the mat. All right, to come out, tuck your chin a little. Come all the way down. Release one hand, the other. Reach your arms up overhead, circle out your wrists. And then draw your knees in towards you. Rock a little from side to side. We'll release out into a twist to the right. So right arm comes to the side, left arm comes out. Knees come all the way over. Maybe you can take your right hand to just support the outer left thigh. Close your eyes, take some breaths. We're going to release out of this side. So knees come back to center on an inhale. Exhale them over to the left. Palms out to the side. Over the right shoulder. Okay, and then we'll draw the knees back up on an inhale. Hug your knees in, rock a little from side to side. If happy baby feels like a really nice option, find the outer edges of your feet, widen your knees, and rock it out. Awesome. All right, and then start to extend through your legs, coming all the way down to our final pose, resting in Shavasana. Heart openers, back bends, start to move a lot of energy in our bodies. They're very energizing, they activate us. So this pose, we relax back, and we just allow that energy to start to work its way deep into our body. Imagine every cell in your body becoming energized, vibrantly healthy. Your whole body awake, alive, receptive. And just allow yourself to soften into your final pose. Allow your breath to deepen. You might like to wiggle your fingers and toes. Perhaps you can stretch your arms up overhead. Beginning to move and get present back in your body. Our bodies are these vehicles that we travel the world in, as long as we're alive and we're here. So it makes sense to look after them just as you would look after your car and change the oil and service it and keep it clean. The same thing with our bodies. Our yoga practice is something that we can let go of old energy and stuck places and bring in the new. It's like servicing our body. So once you're ready to roll yourself over to one side, stay there for a moment, just take a couple of nice deep breaths. And eventually make your way back up to seated, sitting comfortably on your mat, maybe using the support of your block. And close your eyes. Just take a moment, just check in, feel any changes, notice any difference, maybe a little lift in your energy, your vibration. And then allow your palms to meet back together at your heart center and softly bow your head. The body is the bow. The asana, the pose, is the arrow, and the soul is the target. Our yoga practice not only benefits our bodies and our minds, but also our spirit. Take a full breath in and out, and then softly open your eyes. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. See you next time.